say مثلا are you filming?
Yeah.
Oh. I think Tariq. What?
Okay, wait. Let me ask again.
Okay.
Okay, one word to describe Tiffer.
Okay, this is very intense because I don't know what Tariq would pick. For me, it's communal. But I think he'd pick like opinionated or sultan. One of them. Yeah, let's see.
I think he would say not one word.
ما هو أنا I don't think like he can say one word but I think he would say opinionated يمكن.
Awesome. Okay. Should I write your answer, Kaman, see if he says, or no, خلاص we'll memorize your.
It's communal. شوف
Okay.
إذا هو he would know what I would say.
How do you imagine Tipper changing people's daily lives?
Okay, so the way I would answer this is it changes it by guiding them to exploring themselves and recording their journeys, so that you're not lost on what you want to do and everything you do is recorded. How it would change their daily lives. Tariq would answer with إنه how يعني something in the realm of إنه how it allows you to document your journey, or how it allows you to discover what you want to do with your everyday life.
True. Okay. What problem did you want Tipper to solve?
Okay, so I think he would answer with the problem of businesses or entities not connecting with their communities or not growing with their communities. The problem of your work not being documented anywhere and your work going يعني unnoticed without proof. Like the problem of entities growing with their communities and working through new things.
What has been the most exciting part of building Tipper?
Meeting me.
Tariq, you better say that. You better say meeting Lotus.
لا, the most exciting part of building Tipper, I think, is the learning process that comes with it. I think he'd say, how much we've learned throughout the process of building it.
Okay, what challenge surprised you the most during this journey?
The lack of, I think he would answer with how much people are not willing to put in effort to any type of effort for them to get better or to grab an opportunity that helps them grow. Or like the challenge of people not seeing what we see. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Okay. What keeps you motivated on difficult days to keep working on Tipper?
I think the vision, the end. There isn't an end goal, but I think he would answer with that he has a vision, and he would do whatever it takes to achieve it. I don't think he'd say these words. I don't think he uses these words. He'd use
but
a lot
this
of
is what
examples.
he would mean.
That's the essence, يعني. Hey guys.
What role do you play in bringing Tipper to life?
Everything. Okay. Heidi, my answer.
Yeah, put your answer in.
My answer is he plays every role. He is the
main character. Yeah.
He is the شو اسمه the pirate king. Anyways, what role he plays? He plays the. I think he would answer with like the base, the foundation, or the something in that essence.
Okay, what does working on Tipper feel like compared to other projects that you've had?
I think he would answer with how Tipper is not about him but about others, and it's although it helps him communicate his vision of the world to others, it is still a project that is not ما بينت.
I don't know if it's showing you.
Okay, fuck, I forgot, what was it?
What does working on Tipper feel like compared to other projects?
Okay, so Tipper is unlike, I think he would answer, it's unlike any other project. It is a lifelong thing. And it's a project where he has to be very dedicated to the vision. But my answer is it doesn't compare to anything he's done before. But of course, everything he's done before leads to it. So it's like a product of everything he experienced of it. But how he would say it, I don't know. But I think he would stress on how it's different. It's not the same.
Okay, finish the sentence. Tipper is more than just a network because.
Tipper is more than just.
You can say your answer and you can say his answer.
Tipper is more than just. ما بعرف على فكرة. I don't know what he would say for this one.
He would say wow.
Sorry, wow, I doubt it. But no, okay, valid guess.
Let's see if he says wow.
Yeah.
What would be your answer?
Tipper is more than a network because Tipper is more than just a network because. Okay, so before I finish the sentence, I want to say Tipper is journey documentation. It's a game. So I think he would answer with Tipper is more than just a network because it's a game.
Yeah, sure.
It's a game of life. It's the game of life, not a game. It's a game with life.
Yeah,
This
with
is what
life.
he would say. It's the game with life. My answer is Tipper is more than just a network because it's a lifestyle.
Okay, I know I always talk about community, but why should people care about community experiences? Because on Tipper you share your experience, so why would people care more about?
It's because my answer is you cannot grow alone. Growing alone is limiting. So sharing community experiences is liberating and prosperous and beneficial. يعني. Learning from your community, experiencing things with your community, trying new things with your community, it all leads to self-growth and development. But
Do it again.
3 times already.
but I don't know what he would answer. What's جعل السؤال
What should people care about? Why should people care about community experiences?
I think he would say something about growing doesn't happen alone.
True.
وإنه communities are everywhere and you are part of them.
Okay, what does a normal day working on Tipper looks like?
Waking up with waking up at 4 in the morning.
Oh my god, he wakes up 4?
شو بعرفني he wakes up 4, 3, 6 actually. Well, doing some coding, learning everywhere in life, reading some books, doing some research, coding once more, coding. Continuous learning has something around that. And for me it's also a continuous learning curve. It's not like a rigid 9 to 5 work. It's your whole life. It's بالنسبة لي it's my whole life. Everything in my life, whether it's while I'm working on Tipper or not,
Yeah.
it's some way or
It's
another
like it's a
connected.
daily routine, yeah.
It's not a daily routine. It's part of my everyday. Whatever I'm doing, there is something that ultimately links to Tipper,
Yeah.
or something that I can extract out of what I'm doing so that it's linking to Tipper somehow.
Tell us about a moment that reminded you why this matters.
Oh my god! ما بعرف.
You know, I already asked him questions. I'm trying to get questions that he would.
Like لا ما هي ما بعرف شو بدي moment.
Yes, say. I don't know.
Think about why this would matter.
Yeah, tell us about a moment that reminded you why this matters. Why would thought it reply to that?
what شو عرف لي أي moment بده يتذكر he has plenty of moments yes. Anyways, he loves telling you examples. I think he's gonna throw like 5 at you with this question. A moment that reminded you why this matters. I don't know, I think he would share a personal experience where he thought, I don't know, someone this world needed to change something around them. And a moment where he, like a realization.
Do you think people share enough of their real experiences today? Or is it all fake? Like,
هلا my answer is come on man, who shares their real life on social media? بس إنه his answer would be إنه لا, people try to but ultimately don't have the resources to support that. But anyways, it's not genuine يعني, not everything is documented and not everything is يعني, there is no proof to people actually being this way. So social media now يعني, you can be whatever.
yeah, you can be fake, man. No,
Yeah.
no. What emotions do you want people to feel when they use Tipper?
Accountability بس حيقول sovereignty, intentionality, our values, yeah, expressive, yeah.
What impact do you hope this creates locally first?
خلاص خلصوا 700 سؤال.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll ask.
هلا بدي احكي 200 سنة. Sorry طارق, I love you. Okay,
Okay, خلاص, last one. What impact do you hope this creates locally first?
locally.
Yeah.
ما بعرف, I think he will tell you how his plan is not for the impact to be just local, بس إنه locally connecting people who are passionate to, أو مثلا people who are serious to their relevant communities, or establishing a good connection between people who care about something and what they care about.
Bro, that was like 20 questions. Yeah, like,
Oh my god! Brace yourselves!
got it? Good.
Are we good with all of them?
Bro, we asked like 20.
Oh my god, Tariq, ما في
Okay, but you know what I want to do? Stand up and he sits mahalla.
يلا.
Heck, it's like a real ass interview.
20 fucking questions.
Oh my god, Tariq. Don't be mad at me when you watch it, okay? Hands up.
And we're gonna watch it together. Oh, let's fucking do this, man.
Wait, did I ask you the first question? Or
Yes, you
does
did.
Tipper exist? Yeah, I did. Okay. One word to describe Tipper.
Can I say obvious?
I love this movie.
Foundation. Foundational. What did you say? Huh? That makes sense. Just foundational is an opinionated like statement. Why not?
Same thing.
Agreed.
Okay. How do you imagine Tipper changing people's daily lives?
Direction. Are we still doing one word things?
No. That was
Direction.
that was your word.
Okay, I strongly feel there's the balance between creativity and I don't want to say logic or good. The balance between creativity and systematic approach. Like one requires a strict sense of direction with a bit of leeway, and one requires a lot of freedom with a bit of constraints. And that's basically, I think our days are off balance, either very restricted with almost no freedom, and either always restricted with no freedom or always free without restriction. And we can't seem to find that balance within the day. And I question that myself every single time I can, because the days I code are not really the days where I'm able to like write properly, and writing for me is creative, while coding for me is not really creative. So like I can't seem to find a balance between the actually to decide how to do something earlier in the day or later in the day. But I feel the balance shouldn't be within the day specifically, but I'm trying to convince myself with that. So with Tipper, you would be able to kind of like explore both sides of the world while still feeling productive. And I think that's the bigger problem. Like people that are trying to learn music do not understand that just being bad at music is the first steps of being productive in creating music. And people that are trying to like build something from scratch do not realize the awkwardness of like not knowing what the fuck you're doing is also like the first steps, and they're productive, they're really necessary for you to be able to do more. So with Tipper, I feel like the days will be balanced, or at the very least will have that sense of kind of like productivity, that natural approach to it was a good fucking day only because we were able to kind of like just do stuff regardless of what they were. And Tipper kind of like does the calculation for you, leads you, points in the right direction, gives you a solid like starting point.
I said something similar.
Fuck yeah! So two out of one, right?
Yeah.
So like, what's the winning score then?
2 out of 1?
3 واحدة صفر.
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3 شد فيه 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3 نجح. Right?
لا
What's the winning?
مش نفس الشيء، ما في شيء قلته نفس الشيء، بس في
similar.
means هاي.
تخيلي how I would feel if that's basically how you.
You'd be so creeped out.
Exactly. So like no, like similar. أخو من يوكي, and we're kind of aligning. We're thinking different, similarly. Shall we start?
What problem did you want Tipper to solve?
For me, it was a personal problem.
I think you said that, no?
So okay. All right.
You said she personal about him, something, okay.
Okay. So like we're not keeping score yet. Let me actually like try to. So life is phases, right? Or states, or whatever you want to call them. Some point in life, I really had a lot to prove. And in my journey to prove that, I spent about 9 years opening and closing companies for myself and for others. Sadly enough, at the end of the 9th year, I kind of realized that, I say 9 years because that's exactly, since 2011, in September till like 2011, no, in 2011, November to 2021, September. It's almost 10 years. On the 9th year, I realized like all the things I did for other people kind of worked. And all the companies I started for other people kept working, and they were doing good, and they were doing great because the people listened to me. But all the companies I started for myself to kind of like do whatever I wanted to do, I closed them. So my issue was split into 2 pieces, I guess. One was, why am I just being retarded when it comes to my own shit? And that probably kind of like has an association with wanting to prove something. So like I was rushing to prove something to a point where I was avoiding the obvious things that I do not normally, I talk about sincerely with others. So when it comes to other people's work or companies, I'd give them a bit more attention, or at the very least, I'd give that attention a bit more energy than I would my work. And ultimately, I kind of felt like I had something to prove. So on one side, all I did was push. I didn't know how to allow like the way I'm pushing to be kind of tested, or to see if what I was doing is correct or wrong. And that's the momentum I was talking about earlier. Because most of the time we tend to kind of like, pick up something that we're able to kind of like move with, and that movement alone becomes productivity, even though if I'm moving around in circles. And that's how it felt for 9 years. The personal part is the fact that I just could not see myself in the whole process. All I saw was what I was trying to do or attempting to do. And regardless of how many times I failed, I believe that me failing is one step closer to success without actually considering how I failed, why I failed. Maybe I'm just kind of banging my head against the wall instead of against a door or a glass or a tree or just whatever works, right? I don't know why anyone would bang their heads to something, but it seems like everyone kind of like always does that. So yeah, it is a personal thing because it really is just me being able to see myself, and it allowed me to look at the world a certain kind of way. That is the problem that I feel the world has. They get sucked in, and their assessment of themselves and their work is completely separate from whatever it is they're doing. That's how it is. And they don't get the chance to kind of like take a step back to look at it. And I wanted to kind of like, I don't know, I wanted to do something around how I would see it. And I imagined if I'm able to look at it myself, given how ridiculously retarded I was, I would be able to kind of like allow people to kind of like have that experience. Not the retarded part, but the part where they get over retardation. That has to be done. To toy.
What has been the most exciting part of building Tipper?
The most exciting part about building Tipper. Okay, so you know how people talk about waves, right? It's up and down. They miss out that waves are also kind of like left and right, and they miss out that as the wave comes close and then goes back to the shore. I think it's exploring all these dimensions of, I don't want to call it journey, but just the time spent with your own self, whether it is trying to do something and trying to understand what the fuck you're doing, or trying to understand why you're doing it, or trying to understand how you're doing it. I think these are the three foundational questions that not were the most fun for me, but as I realized that these three kind of like kept rotating around each other, like what are you doing, why are you doing it, and how are you doing it, allowed me to like see the thinking process as a lot more of a thing that you kind of like are not involved in. And then I became a lot more entertained in how I kind of fuck up or what my ideas are, because like sometimes I get excited for a full week, and then others I'm kind of like reflecting on that week for like a month, going like, what the hell was I thinking? And I feel those are kind of like the ups and downs, lefts and rights, and backs and forths, all the dimensions of kind of like the feelings that you're like, what's going on? But yeah, because they keep changing, I feel like that's very exciting. But I feel like that part, and where you kind of like realize that you're not what you're doing, and what you're doing doesn't really like give you that identity. You kind of like label yourself in order to feel comfortable around it. I can dive deeper into it, but I feel like that would just kind of like mind fuck the shit out of you guys.
You're gonna laugh so hard at my answer.
So it's one out of 4 or 1 out of 5.
Zero.
صاروا 5 أسئلة, right? 5 questions now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. What challenge surprised you the most during this journey?
Surprised. How it still does. And it's funny because I started this journey specifically with, what if there's a 5% chance that I was, because like after the 9-year mark, I kind of like realized that maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was. And so when I started asking myself that question, what if there's a 5% chance I'm an idiot, right? And well, no, I actually like enjoy being an idiot right now. It's just like, it's easier to be an idiot, and it's much easier to get over stuff as an idiot. But I gave myself, what if there's a 5% chance I was stupid? Because stupidity is an act, while being an idiot comes naturally. And so the more I asked myself that question, the more I kind of like saw the difference between what I was trying to say and how I was saying it. And then I stopped blaming people. The thing that surprises me the most is the more I get to know what I'm doing, it just keeps getting, or until now, I'm still, after 4 years of only thinking about this stuff, it keeps moving so much in my head to a point where anytime we're talking to people, I'm like, I just still feel like a fucking idiot. And, or at the very least, I realize how stupid I could be in the times where I kind of like don't ask that question. So I think that surprises me still, because it is just ridiculous that after all this time, I still have almost no clue on how to explain what it is I'm trying to do until we finalize what exactly like we have finished and show it to people for them to tell me, oh, this is what you're doing. And I go like, fuck yeah, we'll start from there. I feel that'll be the starting point where I stop being surprised with this thing.
آخر part أنا هم something.
Amazing.
What keeps you motivated on a difficult day?
All days are difficult.
I think you said yourself, right?
لا
Or was that
لا مش هيك.
Bella, I think
Don't
so.
spoil لا بس مش هيك ما سألتيني أصلا.
Bella, I can't. I'm
What
Bella.
keeps you motivated?
Yeah, on a difficult day.
لا
Bella, I asked.
ما سألتيني.
Because I saved these on a different note, so I asked you guys the same exact
What keeps you
thing.
motivated? لا أنا بنرجع بنشوف. بس
Okay.
ما سألتيني.
Alright, so motivation is a symptom. It's very important. The day I realized motivation is a symptom is the day I realized that all days are difficult. But some days I'm under some form of illusion. I'm always delusional versus living in illusion. And the day I realized that like some days are just painted by your emotions, it doesn't mean they're not difficult. It just means you're kind of like emotionally more positive around them. Are the days I realized that if I'm having a good day, I am missing something. So the concept of motivation kind of died, because we're no longer looking at how I'm feeling versus why I was feeling the way I was. So if I'm having a good day, I go like, what made me feel good? And then I kind of like dive into the hard part that normally is hidden in those days. And so that's it, no motivation, man. It's just every day is, I don't know, kind of the same, I guess. The saddest part is if we repeat the day. I don't know if I told you this before, but like I make it a point that when I sleep at night, I'm thinking about the same thing that I wake up. When I wake up the next day, I'm thinking about the same thing that I did last night. If I don't do that, I feel like the day repeats itself. But if I do that, that means I'm continuing the day with something new and I'm building on top of that thought, regardless of what it is. And so, yeah.
ما بعرف إذا سألتيني.
I did that. I think I did, because when I asked you, I copy pasted to another note. What role do you play in bringing Tipper to life?
I was sitting once having a cup of coffee, and I was asking myself, what do I do? And there was an artist next to me. She was talking about her music and how she designs stuff. She wrote a song about Palestine, I remember. It was kind of cute. Used the same basic like song structure of every like Britney Spears song and every whatever. Like it wasn't that deep of a song, but it was nice. Normally these kinds of songs kind of catch your attention if they have different mixes of genres, like a bit of like maybe dubstep or a bit of like solo guitar or something other than just pop. But I remember she asked me, what do you do? And my response was, I architect social systems and I design digital connections. And I feel like in truth, other than the effort that I do daily or the work that I do daily for Tipper, the only real contribution is the fact that every single time we take a step forward, I am willing to re-examine how I look at the world in order to make sure I'm not building something based on my own bias. I feel that's the core of the value-driven structure that I contribute to. Building social systems and designing digital connections.
What does working on Tipper feel like compared to other projects?
It does not feel like work.
Yeah, that was good.
It's not working on Tipper. It's just doing stuff with a sense of direction. And I feel that's also what we're building Tipper around, so that people are able to be like, okay, if I want to do this, then what are the things I should be kind of like looking at in the day? And Tipper is kind of like designed so that people are able to explore one thought from different points of view in order for it to kind of like find its completion.
Finish the sentence. Tipper is more than just a network because
It's a platform.
I think Inti, you took long to answer this.
Yeah, I took that, but not only
Yeah,
Tipper is
Yeah.
more than just a network because it doesn't connect people to each other. It connects people to everything.
Damn, that's good.
Yeah.
Damn.
Or Shmiki man Tipper connect to everything. Right?
Why should people care about community experiences?
The concept of care comes from a feeling. Right? And products give us like a bit of a feeling, while experiences like resonate a feeling, a sense of feeling with us. Like, yeah, I get it. You'll probably remember that blender that you bought that was amazing for that smoothie that you made every day. But if you were to be nostalgic, I doubt you're going to be nostalgic about a product. You're going to be nostalgic about an experience. And most experiences are somewhere with someone doing something, or some people somewhere doing some things. I have no idea. So the reason experiences matter is because they're the essence of feelings and care and whatever it is that we kind of like link to memory.
What does a normal day working on Tipper looks like?
I wake up, I take a decision, I try, at first for a while I would write and I would like, I don't know, just like find something pretty to look at and then I start working. But that I realized triggered my creative mode. So lately these days I just wake up and I kind of like write down the code or write down the things that I was thinking about the day before. And then if I'm lucky, I'm seeing Larissa that day. So I get to actually like see what she's up to, see what I'm up to, have some discussions, kind of like gather some courage, tell her about what I'm thinking about or the things that I want to be doing but I'm not really doing. And I sneak them in there, right? Because like none of us are that brave. I don't think so. And if I'm not gonna see her, then one of the things that basically I do is I kind of like stick to what I promised will be done by the time I meet her. And I kind of like fulfill the parts of the promises within the timeline and then reassess whether they're a yes or a no. There are some days where I'm just taking a day off for myself. And those days off are normally the days where I just like walk around all day, just walking everywhere and taking spaces just to write something, whether it's on my head, writing a voice note or making random videos about like things I thought about a year ago, but I wrote them down. Or articles, like this month I wrote 2 articles instead of 1. Actually, I started with 3, 1 is done and 2 are almost done. So yeah, that's what I do on a typical day. And I feel even going to the gym is work towards Tipper. At one point, I kind of like made that realization that everything you do, because they still serve a purpose in the direction you're going. So even going to the gym for me is like, it's a Tipper thing. It's whatever it is that you're driving. Because I know the difference the days I don't go and the days I go with how productive I am, or at the very least how well I sleep and all the other things.
Tell us about a moment that reminded you why this matters.
a moment. Every time I meet a small business, I remember why this matters. Every time I meet somebody telling me about his plans or her plans, I remember why this matters. But if I were to point at a moment, I would say every time I see somebody sitting on their own, like with that kind of look on their computer, where like they're trying to focus or they're reading, those remind me of myself and on those moments where I was trying to figure something out. And I still didn't have a formula back then. I have a better formula right now. The goal is to build an algorithm around that formula. And it's not a formula for success or anything. It's just to not have that look. To kind of be like, yeah, this is what I'm doing, instead of like, I need to, or I must, or I should. Those are the moments that remind me of why I started to.
Do you think people share enough of their real experiences today?
I think even if they want to, we lack the capability to communicate it properly. We lack the capability to assess it properly. And we lack the capability to connect with people about it properly. Because a lot of people are not able to just having a conversation with some, okay, so like one of our core values is expression. And the problem with this expression is it's received based on how people express themselves. So there's a medium of communication that needs to happen that translates one experience to another. So if people are trying to like share an experience, they have to be able to communicate it basically like in a verbal way, in a visual way, and also in a sentimental way. And all of these have to be coherent for other people to be able to understand it and how they think, how they process, and the perspective that they have on this world. And I feel we fail simply because that's not the training that we go through. Like when we're growing up, we're learning math, which is good, or we're learning sciences or history, which is good. But nobody actually like takes the time to like try to understand how to consider things differently so that other people could see the same thing with them. I feel these are things that need to be taught, but I hope that with Tipper, people kind of like start noticing that that's how they could do things, simply because they get to understand what they're doing on a deeper level, so it comes out more naturally.
What emotions do you want people to feel when they use Tipper?
I want to avoid emotions when they're using Tipper. The goal of us taking time in order for us to, I don't know, we could have done something super simple. I could have done something super simple with fucking AI like 3 years ago, and could have found a way to get people to invest in me and hire a team and do a marketing campaign and onboard some people. But I feel we'd be taking advantage of something very like unique, which is what normal like apps do. They take advantage of a gap in their emotional status and structure. I don't want that. I want, if I want, I could have Tipper be a part of people's daily lives by triggering that, or I could have it be a part of people's daily lives simply because they're kind of like using it, utilizing it as more of a social tool for them to design their own lifestyle. And it's not really like an emotion that I want them to kind of like be exploring, more than just kind of like a feeling that's consistent that they're trying to maintain.
Okay, what impact do you hope this creates locally first?
Locally as in Lebanon, or locally?
No, like locally, like Belmonte.
I don't hope, I know. I can describe the impact actually. Like, I don't know if I've explained this before, but if you look at your journey as a kid into adulthood, the problem with growing up is at first you're fully attached to your parents. Like Like literally, all you see is the house, and you see the outside world if they kind of take you out. If you're lucky, you live in a small communal space where you go and play with other kids any chance you can. And I think that's the expression of share. Like until you start kind of discovering your own identity, you are able to kind of like stand beyond what your parents can see. Like so that if you fall, it's fine. You can come back to the house. But that's basically when you kind of go to school on your own and you start figuring out like, oh, there are people, and it's frustrating at first because of the sense of detachment. But that's you kind of like looking at the world and seeing like, okay, if I'm away from these people, I won't die. And as you level up, you kind of develop your character around the outside world, and you try to like explore it when you return to your safe space, which is home. By the time you reach university, you've completely developed a rebellious phase. You kind of like have opinions about stuff. And then when you go to university, you're kind of like completely sovereign over your own interactions with your day-to-day activities. Like you get to go to school on your own. You get to do stuff in between classes instead of like a set of classes. Instead of this is school, you're not allowed to leave. And that kind of gives you the whole feeling of what being an adult looks like. And you get to go out and you get to drive probably, and you get to kind of like do stuff adults do normally. That, I feel, that stage is very crucial. And locally, I feel that stage is not exposed, or at the very least, has a whole lot that's not explored within. Partially because of the constraints, and but mainly because it kind of like your view of the world is limited to what you're capable of looking at, what you have the capacity to look at. And with social media and all kinds of structures right now, digitally, you see a whole lot, but you don't know where to place it. And that kind of creates a bit of a chaotic relationship between you and the world. With Tipper, I want, like when people are finishing school and going to uni, I want them to be basically using Tipper as a tool to kind of like destructure the parts of society that matter to them and kind of build their world, or at the very least the view of the world around those places. And here, I feel like we have the possibilities are more because we're so opinionated, but we have no idea why. And so when given the chance to test these opinions, I feel like a lot more tests will be done without people actually like understanding how they're kind of like becoming a bit more directed into what exactly they like and what they don't like. Yeah, I feel like the first thing that will happen is a new generation, or the generation that starts using Tipper, is going to explore its surroundings and build it through their lifestyles, which will allow for the growth of the area in general and the kind of like expansion to other areas around it. That kind of like creates a centralized approach to truly and honestly having an opinion worth testing, instead of just being opinionated because you exist. I hope that made any fucking sense. Did it? Sada's always clueless.